I need to practice making videos, and one of the topics that I need to just keep working on is the evils of belly breathing. I had a neighbor friend that and he's saying, "Oh, I thought belly breathing was," and he explained to me why he was told belly breathing was better. And the truth is, the only people that are promoting belly breathing are the people that lost the muscle tone necessary to support their thoracic cavity, to have room to use the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm and the core to breathe into. There's a video that I use, I got it, it's called Force Inspiration Breathing. Watch it, it comes from the bodybuilding, not from the AMA. But when they do a force inspiration breath, it's one of the things that I teach, one of the things that you have to master is there's 11 muscle groups that were used in that breath. Well, probably 8 of them were supposed to hold me up all the time. Don't slouch, hold my body up all the time. So you slouch, right? Look what happens. You start compressing the thoracic cavity. Your neck comes down. Start compressing the thoracic cavity. You give up the core muscles to support this, and then turn them into breathing muscles. They won't like that, but they'll do it because they'll keep you alive. And you start doing this. Just a second. I got it. You know the bad news about belly breathing for me? It stretches all the core muscles out, leaves it saggy. That happens when you get older. Just one a minute. Well, then what happens is that the diaphragm wasn't designed to draw down in the intestines, and so the intestines are going to get pushed out along with the process. And now the intestines lost the support, and part of that intestine stuff is your stomach, and your stomach lost support, and the feeling of full disappears. And so now you eat more because it just feels better, and then your intestines are expanding, so which means, come on, low transit time means, wait. Low transit times means low metabolism. And so slow transit time starts kicking in because you're processing more food. You weren't designed to do it, so your intestines are expanding, but it's okay because your breathing keeps expanding. Now, the more your belly is expanding, the more it's collapsing your rib cage. When it's collapsing the rib cage, you're starting to put pressure inside of your chest cavity because there ain't enough room anymore. And your belly keeps expanding to the point where you can't breathe anymore. The elephant sits on your chest. You see, the default for a diaphragm intercostals breath is exhale. The default for a belly breath is inhale. Well, now what are you going to do with it? Muscles versus gravity. So CO2 is building up. CO2 is causing all kinds of troubles inside of your intestines, come on. CO2 starts the acidic buildup, which then can cause the acid reflux. It can get inside and start causing troubles with visceral fat growing in. Visceral fat's so awful. That's a belly breather's belly is hard. Visceral fat is the soft fat that's underneath it, and it's migreal. It moves around. So this fat can move around and attach to the side of your heart. That's what you want, right? It is to have your heart working extra hard because it's got some fat attached to it. It really can mess with your intestines. And it can really mess with everywhere else because it gets to go wherever it wants because it's underneath that. So the breathing just keeps getting worse. And the elephant sits on your chest because you can't inhale anymore. It's scary, it's awful, it's horrible. It's so frightening to know that you can't go to the grocery store because you can't walk that far. You don't have enough air. And so then it gets worse. But that's the end of my expertise. Because the belly keeps expanding until you start splitting the muscles or popping hernias. And if you're a challenged breather like me because of smoking or some other thing, then it gets even worse because the CO2 buildup becomes so big that right now we're CO2 regulated breathers. At the end of a race, I just did that all belly breathing. Oh my goodness, that was interesting. At the end of a race, it's not about O2 in, it's about CO2 out. We're CO2 regulated. We inhale because we have too much CO2. But when the CO2 buildup gets to be so gray at the bottom of your lungs, we actually flip to being O2 regulated breathing. It can't get rid of the CO2. It just gives up. It wants to survive. Okay, just give me oxygen. And it starts becoming a... Then we add oxygen therapy in short spurts like that, because this person can't take a deep breath. So they can't get enough O2 to, and then they start adding all the pharmaceuticals on top of it to try to help, and God bless them all, because listen, 89% of Americans can change their behavior even if it's life-threatening. There's only 11%. I was an 89.1er. I barely had enough to change and fight the battle back. And breathing is such a huge problem, and I'm an expert on that much of it. I'm an expert on belly breathing and the ramifications of belly breathing. Please, please don't give me credit for things that are beyond that. I'm only looking with the Gift of Breathing campaign to help 1 million of my peers get the elephant off their chest. 1 million of my peers is 2.5% of the breathing sufferers. 97.5% of the breathing sufferers I'm not even going to be looking at, addressing, or talking to. I'm just looking for the low-hanging fruit that's ready to move, get on board, and get it done now. Because that's what I want to be doing. But everybody else needs to be listening, because the misconception of belly breathing being okay is only being promoted by people that lost the muscle tone, absolutely don't understand what a forced inspiration breath is. I don't know that they could do one if they had to. If they watched the 3-minute 3D animation of, I don't know if they can access all of those muscles anymore. Some of them totally atrophied. I know that mine were hard to reach. I know that my peers are going to be hard to reach. That's why the breathing rocker gets you there faster. That's why the breathing couch support is so important to relieve that and get it going. That's why the belly band is so important at night. I mean, there's so much that I know that it can help my 1 million peers that needs to also get out to everyone else, because our generation, oh my goodness, texting neck, right? It's collapsing all this stuff. And look what happens to the lower back. I need form fitting to do this, don't I? Fun, that's humor. So, belly breathing is bad. It's horrible. It's awful. You can use it recreationally. How's that? But over time, it goes in one direction. And if it's, hey, I've watched yogi masters that have breathing command I'll never have. So please, I'm not throwing out I'm not throwing out the yogi master with the bathwater. Those guys can do it all. Wow. So there is a place for it, and there's a great use for it. So please, okay? I'm just saying, watch and see, because if the person that's telling you belly breathing is better, and they lost the muscles that hold up the rib cage, then they can't. Breathe the way we're designed to breathe. Thanks.